Today's question is, how was the 10th plague, which caused the death of Egypt's firstborn, just in the eyes of God? In this video, I'll answer that question from a biblical perspective. Then afterwards, as always, I'll share some helpful resources, so stick around until the end. In Exodus chapter 11, verses 5 through 6, God declared through Moses, "Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn son of the female slave, who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again." This dire prophecy was fulfilled in Exodus chapter 12, verses 29 through 30. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. This plague on the firstborn sons of Egypt was the 10th and final plague God sent on the nation of Egypt, and it was the one that finally ended the brutal 400-year enslavement of the people of Israel. The other plagues were terrible, see Exodus chapter 7 through 10, but the 10th plague was particularly harsh. How was it just for God to cause the death of all the firstborn sons of Egypt? There are at least two primary things to remember. First, God gave Pharaoh and the Egyptians 9 warnings in the form of 9 plagues before he sent the plague that caused the death of the firstborn. With each plague, the Egyptians had an opportunity to repent and release the Israelites from slavery. Every time, the Egyptians refused. 3 times, Pharaoh said that he would let the Israelites go, only to change his mind once God ended a plague. Further, God gave Pharaoh advanced warning that all of the firstborn sons of Egypt would die in Exodus chapter 11, verses 4 through 8. Even after that direct warning and all the other plagues, Pharaoh still would not release the Israelites from slavery. Second, Pharaoh and the Egyptians brought this plague on themselves by their own actions. Exodus chapter 1, verse 22 records a grim edict from the king of Egypt. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: "Every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live." That command was given prior to Moses' birth. 80 years later, Moses came to Pharaoh and asked him to release the Israelites from slavery. There is no indication that the murdering of Hebrew boys ever ceased. How many thousands of Israelite sons had been murdered by the Egyptians? How many Israelite men and women had been murdered in 400 years of slavery in Egypt? In a way, the 10th plague and the death of the firstborn in Egypt was poetic justice for the targeting of Hebrew boys for slaughter. There is no denying that the 10th plague causing the death of the firstborn of Egypt was severe. But with 400 years of slavery and countless Israelites murdered by Egyptians, whether as adults or as infants, the Egyptians brought God's brutal judgment on themselves. God had promised Abraham, "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. The Egyptians, in choosing to curse Abraham's children, brought a curse upon themselves. Want to learn more? Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Visit gotquestions.org for more great content, and check out the details section below this video. There you'll find one book I recommend, along with several links to related questions. If you'd like to learn about Bible Munch, or if you're interested in bite-sized devotionals, subscribe to Bible Munch on YouTube. It's linked right here. Now remember, got questions? The Bible has answers. We'll help you find them.